To some it would be a dream come true, for others a nightmare. But given the Brexit impasse in Downing Street, John McDonnell could find his hands on the budget box sooner than he expects. But what does corporate Britain think of a possible Labour government? Many, like Rhys Chowdhury, told us they were nervous. He runs a venture capital firm from his small London office, and while currently there's hardly any room to swing a cat, like many young entrepreneurs, he dreams big, dreams he feels Labour doesn't share.
They've sent a very clear signal to business. We are coming after you, right? We're coming after you. It might be corporation tax, it might be income tax, it might be, we're coming after you to get your money, basically.
Much of the discussion in boardrooms has focused on Brexit's economic impact. But if Theresa May fails to bring her party in line, it may not be a referendum, but a general election that has to decide our path in Brussels. The problem for business is the alternative offer is a radical Labour government with a filing cabinet full of hostile policies. When we speak to business, they say the message that Labour is sending is, be afraid.
Well, that's why I'm touring around. Do I look frightened? Anyway, we'll see.
Do you think you are frightening?
No, not at all.
Do you like business now?
Do I like business now? I've always liked business. I've worked on the shop floor.
Do you love business?
Well, look, what do you mean love business? Do I love it? This is not about loving anything.
Is this a new John McDonnell?
Oh, well, I'm saying to them, look, this is what we're going to do. You're coming into government with us. What we're saying...
You can't have all company bosses in your government.
No, but we'll have...
It's going to be a very unusual government.
Yeah, we'll have consultative forums. We're going to open the doors of government, so we all go into government together.
So what's this government of all the talents going to do on taxes? The big one is extra corporation tax, expected to bring in £19 billion. Income tax, along with a list of other smaller taxes, will net £11.5 billion, and cancelling investment schemes could raise £3.8 billion. Added with stamp duty, VAT on private school fees, and a few other bits and bobs, and you get to a grand total of £49 billion of extra taxes.
Should we have this car?
Labour says this will mark an end to austerity and improve our public services with an extra £25 billion in education spending, plus more on health and pensions. But the IFS has warned that this level of taxation hasn't been extracted since the war. Long seen as part of the uncompromising left of the Labour Party, McDonnell now says he's willing to reconsider some of the tax elements in his manifesto. If British companies came to you and they were able to prove that a raise in corporation tax would hurt British companies, would you be flexible? Would you be willing to listen?
Yeah. In the discussions that I've had with companies and in the city and elsewhere, I've taken along our budget proposals and I've said, when any one of these, if you've got a problem with it, if you think we can achieve the same objectives in a different way, let me know.
Would you be willing to scrap that policy for the next manifesto?
If they could find another way that they would find acceptable, which is fair and equitable and achieve the same results, of course I would. This is not an ideological commitment to that particular taxation policy.
Do you think maybe you've only got yourself to blame if companies think this is ideological? If you start quoting Das Kapital, is this what companies have to get used to if you're the next Chancellor?
Yeah, they have. They have to get used to me quoting all sorts of people. I'll quote Adam Smith at them as well. That's what confuses them. But they have to get used to a dialogue in which actually we will talk about economic theory every now and again. Any of these policies, any of them, if you can find me a better way of ensuring that we can meet with the same objectives, by all means come and talk to me.
If the Shadow Chancellor is changing his message, it hasn't reached Jane Rutter in Leeds. She set up her own advertising firm and is worried not only about higher taxes, but in the matching shift in tone created by Labour.
Investment could take a hit. We could lose some big business and they will take their kind of headquarters and staff elsewhere. I feel like the UK will lose its grasp as being a big global player.
Yeah, and my concern is not about Labour. It's specifically about Corbyn's agenda. The UK is quite small relative to the world. We're getting a lot of outside investment currently from China, from US, and suddenly, overnight, that could go. Just cut off, because the government is seen not to back those businesses, right? So it's the perception to the outside world a lot of the time that's a big risk.
FTSE bosses are less willing to talk on camera, but off the record, several have told this programme they also worry about Labour's plans to add £500 billion to the UK's national debt. On taxation, it's not just the amount, but the contrast with the rest of the world, which are all lowering their rates. Banks in particular are unhappy. Is there a risk that you just use companies like your policy piggy bank?
No, not at all. What we're saying to them, look, we're asking for a fair taxation system. No one's going to be penalised.
Do you know how much financial services contributes to the exchequer?
Yes, of course I do.
How much?
Well, of course I do. Significant amounts of money, more than anything else.
How much? Like billions? How much would you say?
Billions. But
well, I can give you the figure. It's 8.7 billion pounds directly in corporation tax and 72 billion pounds indirectly.
Yeah.
Isn't this an industry we should be supporting?
Of course it is. Of course it is. And I congratulate them for that.
But business will want more than just praise from Labour, especially if the economy tanks after Brexit. What comes next will need a new vision, whether it's the Tories in power or McDonnell's Labour.